Hey, 2717, if you're young, married, with children, we have an amazing couple that's going to share exactly what you may need for your marriage. Stay tuned.
Well, Mr. Merritt Vaughn, we have another amazing power couple on. We had last week, we had Pastor Larry and Becky Miles.
That's right.
And, they're obviously, I guess you would call them the Abrahams, right? As far as biblical goes, and grandchildren, and just kind of give their whole testimony. And now we have this amazing, young, beautiful power couple on.
Glad to be here. Very glad to be here.
And for our audience,
on camera too, by the way.
February is marriage month for 2717. So we're thrilled to have you guys on and give some perspective. And
Yeah.
The word I keep hearing is hope. Give hope to young couples that are exhausted, that are, they're trying to just keep the car on the road. They're trying to figure out how to actually court one another still in the busyness of life, how to raise children, how to have careers.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, and I don't think we introduced them.
Oh, yeah. Well, Talyn is the guy behind the scene all the time that comes in front of the camera some.
Yep.
Talyn
Yes,
is the producer,
Yep.
Mr. Everything, and his beautiful wife, Jordan.
Yeah.
Hi.
Talyn and Jordan. So I didn't introduce you. I'm sorry. I just kind of
you're
jumped
all good.
into it.
You're all good.
My bad. I just figure everybody knows who you are.
All friends.
So, but I'm excited about this. We're kind of, I guess, people try to categorize their culture, like what they've grown up in, like X and whatever it is. And so you guys are kind of like on the fence between millennial and
Gen X.
Gen X.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because Gen Z is what came after
Yeah.
in 2013, and then now it's Generation Alpha or
whatever.
Yeah.
So, and what's interesting is there really is differences in these generations, right? Because of what they're exposed to, right, in life, and what's going on in the world with maybe wars or political
Technology is a
differences,
big thing.
technology,
Cell phones,
absolutely.
social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys grew up with cell phones, right? From probably your earliest memories.
Flip phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're probably that kind of that first generation that's always seen a phone in somebody's hand.
Well, I remember being a kid, 5, 6 years old, and seeing like the first. As a matter of fact, we still have it as a toy at my grandparents' house, like the brick phone,
Oh, yeah.
with the antenna sucker on there. Yeah.
The big rubber antenna hanging on.
It kind of looked like the old Army phone, right? They were
Yeah, it was a
huge.
little smaller. It was like a newer version of that. But
Yeah.
I remember that in some of my early memories. In 2000, 2001, something like that. But I was never allowed to have a phone growing up. But I remember 5th and 6th grade, everyone having the Razor. Like that was the coolest one, the flip phone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. But yeah, I mean, we witnessed the birth of MySpace and Facebook and Instagram and like all these social media platforms that everyone has now. We were there for the startup.
Wow. Wow.
So
MySpace was it.
MySpace was it for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
You get all the cool music on there. I remember
We were learning coding.
Really?
Like we were
course.
knowing how to change the backgrounds. Like it was incredible.
basic HTML code on there, but yeah,
I love it.
Wow.
the good old days.
Okay, tell us about you guys. Tell us about I want a little short history on your families, because it's important to know the backstory of you, but like who your families were, and then coming together, because I think it helps everybody understand.
Yeah, we actually just had a conversation about this Sunday night. Yeah, I don't think that there are more opposite people out there. We were raised opposite. Our personalities are opposite. Our families are opposite, just in terms of values and upbringing and everything. So, just a little bit about me, and I'll hand it over to Jordan. I was raised in a pretty big family. I have 4 younger siblings, raised devout Christians. I got my prayer language whenever I was 4 years old.
Wow.
Like, I remember receiving that on my bunk bed at night because my mom told me that I could pray for it, so I did. And then we were in a divorced family until I was about 10 and a half, almost 11, and then married my stepdad. And so we have a blended family. You know, I've got 2 blood brothers and then 2 half siblings, a younger sister and younger brother. But of course, you know, like we've talked about on the podcast before, they're the same as, you know, blood siblings. Like it's just that close knit. And then in high school, I was very rebellious, very much like, nah, I don't want to do none of this anymore. Still had a lot of conviction, and that ultimately brought me back to the Lord. But we always say if we would have met in high school, we would have hated each other.
Oh, wow.
It's true.
Wow. Okay.
So that's my brief synopsis.
Okay.
Jordan?
So a little bit about me is I grew up in Panhandle. My parents actually met in the Army in Frankfurt, Germany.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They fell in love, and so we moved back to the States. They got married. They got pregnant with me. My dad switched jobs. He wanted to work at Pantex, and so we flew out here to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's where we landed. So I grew up in Panhandle. I'm an only child.
Okay.
My parents were very lax about religion and faith, and so they kind of let me decide whatever I wanted to decide. And so from probably 5th grade to even now, I got to decide what I wanted to believe. And so I attended the Methodist church for a long time. Then I started dating someone that was Catholic, so I was like, I'm Catholic now. And so I was Catholic for a little bit,
And then she got kicked out?
and I got kicked out.
Wait, hold on. You got kicked out
I got kicked out
of what?
the Catholic Church. Yes.
Oh gosh.
I
How
was
did you get kicked out?
I was asking a lot of questions. So in the RCIA classes that you have to take before you can have your confirmation ceremony, that is the place to ask all the questions. Well, I had completed those classes and I was still asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So when it came to college, I was transitioned over to that ministry. They were like, they'll be able to better equip you. And they got to the point where they were like, I just don't think this is the right fit.
Wow.
And I was like, fair.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So
What a
switched
trip.
over to
Okay.
a non-denominational church, was able to get some questions, but it was beautiful because the Lord was moving regardless of whatever denomination
Yeah.
was giving me the answers. It was God that was helping me retrieve the truth from that. So
man.
That's good.
it was good.
Well, kudos to you for having the whatever to ask questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know,
Yeah.
because some people just, you know, truck along. But yeah, we could go down that path, but that's not what this is. This podcast is about.
And a disclaimer, sorry, I sound like a smoker. I'm not a smoker, but I've been battling this upper respiratory stuff on probably the past 5 or 6 podcasts. So you make me laugh, and I'm going to be like wheezing really funny. So I apologize to all the
make him
viewers
laugh.
right now.
Don't make him
Sorry.
laugh.
So anyway, so keep going. Merritt.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
you're good. So, okay, so how did you meet? Tell us about your love story. How did you meet? How did this work out?
Do you want to do that one or you want me to?
I think it's so fun. I'll do it.
Okay, you do.
All right.
Okay, so I was a barista at Palace and Canyon, which was like the cool spot to be at.
Awesome
It
coffee
was
shop.
so awesome.
Yeah.
And so I had purple hair. I was up here serving some coffee. And one day, this really hot guy walks in that has a lot of muscles, and he's getting black coffee every morning. And so I was like, that guy's really attractive. I'm going to give him some free coffee sometimes. And so I would give him some free coffee. And I think you were also thinking at the same point, that girl's pretty cute, right? Was that it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But neither of us said anything because
No.
we were like, we can't ruin this like jive that we have.
No, I was
right
like, I'm
now.
getting free coffee out of this. I don't want to
Yeah.
ruin this.
Yeah.
Well, eventually he becomes friends with the other baristas. And
Okay.
so he is now involved in our friend group. And so we're hanging around the same people, and that friend group starts to dwindle. So it's just us a few times.
Oh wow.
Mind you, I started working at the coffee shop as well.
I was wondering because I knew you.
Yeah,
you
we
had a
knew that you
background.
kind of
Yeah.
had that background.
Yeah, I was a personal trainer, and I was like, I could use a little extra income, you know. So I took a part-time gig over there, and so she was actually my oversight,
Ooh.
my boss.
So we were in the same friend group.
Yeah.
Then it dwindled down, and we played that game for about a year where we were like, I like you, but you don't like me. You like me, I don't like you. Until
a year of this.
Wow.
year.
Yeah.
So would you be kind of flirty with each other, but
We
not?
were
Oh,
so
yeah.
flirty.
Oh,
yeah.
Everybody knew. you? And then
Dude,
we'd be like, no.
She is a flirt. Oh
With
my
you.
gosh. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
With me, of course.
Yeah.
With me, of
yeah.
course.
Not
yeah.
with anybody else.
But then I'd
That's
be like,
hilarious.
I don't know. And then I would try and do something, and she would bring up her ex-boyfriend. I'd be like, oh, come
No,
on,
or I'd
man.
call you brother.
Or you'd call me brother.
Brother.
Yeah.
That's
oh
rough.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
she'd
no.
put the hard stop on it a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, playing hard to get. Okay.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
eventually it lined up and we were like, what are we doing? This makes so much sense.
Yeah.
There's so much peace here. There's so much love here.
Yeah.
We see a future with one another.
Yeah.
Why would we hesitate?
So
We
tell me about your walk. Like, were you guys saved? Were you serving God at this time?
Yes,
Both
yeah,
of
yeah.
you were.
So I was volunteering, serving at a local church, and then she was actually very involved with the Wesley Foundation at WT.
Okay.
Well, this is post Wesley. So
This
I
is
was the youth
post-Wesley.
director at
Yeah.
Happy.
Oh, okay.
So she had started with the Methodist Church in Happy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I knew, as a matter of fact, one of the first conversations that she had, she stopped me abruptly and was like, "Tell me your testimony." And I was like, "Wow, we're getting right into this," you know?
Yeah.
So I knew that we had the same core values. We aligned there. We were great friends, which already helped us so much.
That's
like
huge.
it made the dating part really pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because we knew our values lined up. We knew we liked being around each other. And so everything kind of flowed from there. We only dated for about 6 months before we got engaged. And then we were only engaged for another 5 months.
Yeah. Right on.
And then we were married. So less than a year.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the friendship thing because I wanted to bring it up. For our listeners, if you can have a friendship and then date,
Yeah.
the level of foundation that's laid there, because sometimes, right, and look, I've been there, so I'm not pointing a finger at anybody, but you get into the relationship, and in some cases you get into intimacy, and then it becomes a more of a challenge to really grow relationally, right? Because you've gotten that backwards. So kudos to you guys that you built a friendship, core values. I mean, all of that lined up pre getting into a, whatever, a relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think for our listeners, I think that's wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, it helped a lot in being like, even if we weren't dating, just being in that same friend group to where I was like, I can see how you're acting with your friends. I can see how you're talking to your family. I can see these things. And those are little nuggets that I'm storing in the back of my head. And so
Yeah.
it was like, if there was a red flag and we did start dating, that would have been something that I would have brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. So, there was about a year, dated, got engaged, got married, and then how soon before children?
We were married for a year and a half
Yeah.
before we found out we were pregnant. And then we were close to our second anniversary whenever our oldest son, Emerson, was born.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so we were living in Dumas at the time. Jordan had a great job out there.
Oh, wow.
The Lord moved us out of Canyon during COVID. It was a really miraculous deal within a matter of 11 days. She had a job, I had a job, and we had a house.
Okay.
Going from Canyon to Dumas. Like, it was, God's hand was totally on it.
Wow. That's
So
cool.
a year and a half you were married, you had your first child.
Well, got pregnant.
Got
Two
pregnant.
ye-
Got
2
pregnant.
years.
And then close to 2 years is
Okay.
whenever we had our son.
And then how long before that you said it was a full, maybe almost a year that you had met by the time you got married?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty quick to start a family.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we got married at 23. So we were pretty young.
Yeah.
Relative. And so, yeah, I mean, by the time we had Emerson, we were serving at the church there in Dumas. We had an amazing church family there. As Jory Buckenoff,
Oh,
Pastor
sure. Yep.
Jory and April.
Yeah, love Jory.
They were our mentors. And so we really were so blessed. I complained about Dumas so much, but we were so blessed to have those people there at that time in our life. And then about 3 years later, 2.5 years later is whenever we had our second son, Ansel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one of the things that I'm hoping we can help our listeners with is the balancing. I don't know I don't know if balance is the right word, but again, we talked about in the beginning. So, relationship with the Lord, relationship with one another, raising children, both of you have careers. Talyn has started a new business in the last couple of years. Church, life.
Yeah.
Talk to it. Let's unpack some of that. You guys even talked about discipline. If there's any habits, like putting children to bed at a certain time so you guys can actually communicate a little bit, or just any of that, because there's probably some young desperate couples out here that need some hope.
Yeah, how have you guys overcome all the obstacles that come with everything that Merritt just talked about?
Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely still overcoming.
Sure,
Amen.
for sure. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah. I mean, we've only been parents for coming up on 5 years, so we're still learning. But I want you to speak to that. Jordan is such a high excellence, like CEO level thinker and disciplinary, like not a disciplinarian, very disciplined individual.
Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to talk about some of the things that we've done as a family that you think help.
I think one of the main things when we had first had Emerson that helped me so much was one of my friends came over. She brought me a coffee. I did not ask. She sat down. She was doing chores for me and talking to me at the same time. So she was helping with acts of service, which is a love language of mine, and she was helping with words of affirmation. And what she said that was so primitive to me in that moment was like, there is no one else on this earth that the Lord chose to be the mother of Emerson.
Come on.
It was like, you don't have to have it all figured out. In fact, you won't. You're not going to have it all figured out. And that's good, because in that weakness is where the Lord can show his strength. And so just remembering that, like, hey, you do not have to have it all figured out. Yeah. It's especially hard with social media, because I feel like the second Instagram or Facebook figures out that you're a mom, they're like, I'm going to give you so much information, and regardless of what you're doing, it's wrong. But that's not what the word says. Like, we are called to steward our children in a way that is beautiful and nurturing, and we do that very differently. And so I just remember that conversation with my friend, and she was like, no, the Lord has called you to be the mom to Emerson, and you're going to do that well because you're depending on God. And so if any women are out there and they're a new mom and they're struggling with this season, like, you have been called to be the mom to your babies, and it's going to look different from your friends, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Jordan, whenever we were dating, she actually originally said, I don't think that I want kids. She said that she's always wanted to be like the fun aunt. Her friends are going to go have kids, and she'd just come over and spoil them, But she stepped into motherhood like that. I mean, has been an amazing mother to both of our boys. One thing that I think has really helped us is having a set bedtime, like creating a schedule and a routine for your boys or your children that is predictable.
Yeah.
Having some type of repetitive, we go to bed at this time, we eat this together, we sit at the table, that type of thing creates those healthy habits, but it also creates space for us at 8 p.m. every night. We know we can have our time to talk.
And our children know.
Yeah.
Like, Emerson will come in and he will see that we're talking, and we'll tell him, back to bed. This is mommy and daddy's time.
That's
and
good.
He's like, he knows.
Yeah.
That's really
Which
good.
is, I mean, it's huge for us just because with the demands of work, and she's got her job and I've got my job, and then we've got the kids, and then we've got other stuff going on. We're involved at church. I'm volunteering. We've got friend groups that we go to. We've got a life group. And so it's like, we have to touch base, and if we don't have that touch point every night, we go sideways fast.
Let me ask you a question. How toxic is social media in those moments whenever you finally get that downtime and maybe you start scrolling?
Oh, it's so tempting.
Oh, that.
And you're not connecting. So talk to us about that. Walk through.
What do you call it?
I think that is death.
Yeah.
I think that is the way to slowly kill your marriage.
Yeah.
By showing, because what are you doing when you're pulling out your phone? You're saying, this thing is more important to me than the person that I have chosen to be in covenant with for the rest of my life.
Come on.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like, is that the truth? Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But that is what you're showing by those actions.
Yeah.
So we got the brick.
Yeah,
That
have y'all
has
heard of the
helped so
brick?
much.
No.
Oh, it's this little device that you can. It's got a little adhesive back on it,
This is
and so
not
you could.
sponsored.
This is not sponsored. Yeah, you can stick it to any surface, but you go up and you tap your phone to it, and you can choose what apps it locks you out of.
Oh, cool.
So it locks us out of social media, it locks us out of our calendars, out of our email, out of all that. And so the only way that you can unbrick your phone is to go tap it to that device.
Okay.
So what we've started doing is we've started bricking our devices at night because it's like, okay, social media is off the table. Like I can't even get on it on my phone if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good.
And so it kind of eliminates that temptation. And last night we were able to sit and talk for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Uninhibited conversation. Really connect about some things. And it's
powerful.
Like that's one of those little small disciplines that we've done that has helped foster that communication.
So I think I'm certain I'm going to strike a nerve here, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, okay? But over the years, and Wade, I think you can relate to what I'm about to say. One of the stumbling blocks that I've seen with younger couples is, and this is not everybody, but it's a lot. Is so you have children, you have young children. The wife, the mother, becomes very focused on the children. They become everything to her. The husband, who was super connected with the wife, you know, passion, intimacy, fun, just, you know, life is great. And all of a sudden, you know, now his wife's paying attention over here. So then he goes and doubles down into work. And you get into this pattern that a lot of young people can find themselves. I don't know if this relates to you guys at all.
Oh, yeah.
But then you have to try to, like, okay, and then I'm going to let you talk, but I think in terms of what's important for raising great children, one of the things is to demonstrate not a perfect marriage, but one that keeps God first, one another second, and then the children. How important are they? They're the third most important thing in our life. But if you get that out of order, right? So can you talk to us? I know you're living this. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. Do you want to go first on that? I feel like you have a lot of good stuff to say.
Yes. So one of the things that Jory and April helped us with really early on in our marriage that changed the way that we have lived our life is that they told us, you guys need to sit down and write out your values. So health is a value to us. Our children are a value to us. Our marriage is a value to us. God is a value to us. Hobbies are a value to us.
Sure.
But it's something that Talyn and I both look at and we're like, okay, is this a value to us and where does it rank? And it's like, well, the Lord is first, then our marriage, then our kids, then our friends, then our jobs. And so when we have a really clear outline, I think it's so much easier for us to be like, okay, yes, date night is more important than us going to something else that would be fun as well. Because that's number 2 and fun is like number 7.
Yeah.
That's super important.
Yeah, I was going to say date night. Me and my wife made the mistake whenever we stopped drinking. We didn't drink for 12 years. And so we made the mistake of never taking date nights. We'd hang out with friends. We never dated each other for 12 years. And we realized, man, this is not good. And so then we started having our date nights again, and it was awesome. It like changed everything.
Yeah. One thing that we started doing, and Jordan, I have to praise you. Oh my gosh. We started swapping date nights.
Yeah. No,
So-
not swapping.
Yeah, so she'll plan a date night and then I'll plan
I get it.
one.
I know what you mean.
So whoever's
Swap
taking
is a word we want to clarify. There's no
Yes,
swapping.
absolutely.
Yeah,
there's no swapping here.
yeah. Jordan plans and then Talyn plans.
Yeah. She'll plan and then I'll plan. And so this past weekend, she was like, hey, we're going to need a babysitter for 5 hours. And I was
Whoa.
like, what in the world did you plan?
That's
She
awesome.
knows I'm a
Were you nervous or excited?
I was like, I didn't know what to think, you know. Where are we going? I thought we were like going to Lubbock or something. She said, no, I know you love Lord of the Rings. Well, they're having an exclusive, they're showing the extended version. It's
my
a
gosh.
4-hour film
Oh, wow.
Where at?
at Synergy.
Oh, cool.
And
One
she was
night
like,
only.
and the playoffs. Yes, dude. And the playoffs were going. And so we got there early. We got some nachos and some beer, and we watched the playoffs.
Come on.
And then we went to them. And I was like,
love it.
Gosh.
I married up, dude.
Yeah.
And so that kind of
That's awesome.
way where it gives you the opportunity to say, I know you.
Yeah.
I know your love language.
so good.
And now I'm going to craft an evening just
So
to
good.
show you how much I care about you and how much I see you.
Yeah. Way to go, guys.
Yeah,
Way to go.
that's a great hack right there for young married couples dating. Switch who's leading the date night.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good stuff there.
Yeah,
That's very good.
Okay, so before we get off, any other thoughts on, because we're talking about, balancing careers, which I know you started a new career. Talyn's got the new, you guys got a lot going on.
yeah.
And there's probably a lot of people in the audience that
Yeah,
plus
how
or
do you
minus
juggle
around.
all that?
Yeah.
It's really worrying about today, let tomorrow be tomorrow. We have a shared calendar. We try to communicate as much as we can. Hey, I've got this going on. Wednesday nights, since she's a youth director, Wednesday nights are her night.
Yeah.
And so we try to divide and conquer and be in clear communication as much as possible. And it's whenever we slack on that communication that stuff starts to get out of whack. Hey, we got this tonight. Crap, we don't have a babysitter.
Yeah.
Crap, I didn't text the babysitter, and we got dinner with so-and-so tonight,
Yeah.
And so it's what the enemy wants to do, and I think because the enemy hates marriage so much, wants to kind of pit you against one another.
Oh, yeah.
Blame so-and-so. Dadgummit, I'm bitter at you, and so now I'm going to go isolate. Now our communication sucks. Now the peace of our home sucks. Now we don't have a set routine. Now the boys are going to bed late. And it's like, that can all be remedied by just coming together. Hey, I love you. I'm your teammate. I am in this thing with you. And let that be the tenor of like all communication. I am in this thing with you.
Yep.
I have got your back. No matter what you need, I've got you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So what are your biggest struggles?
For me, I think I have pretty undiagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
And so
I think all guys have that. But
yeah,
okay.
I think so too. I think so too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so screens are a big thing for me.
Okay.
That's why we have the brick. It's like, get this thing away, because if it's present, I'm going to be looking.
Yeah.
Or if there's a TV over there, if there's some type of motion and color,
Yes.
my eyes are drawn to it, and it makes her feel unvalued.
That's right.
Whenever we're in the middle of a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Jordan? What's your
I
biggest
think
struggle?
Well, can I list some practicals really quick?
Absolutely.
Okay. There's some practical things that you could be doing to help you prepare, because like they say, failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yep.
And so we have a marriage meeting every Sunday where we say who's doing dinner, who's doing what, just the logistics that we're trying to knock out. So we feel like, and we start that with prayer, but we also end it with being like, hey, we are partners.
Yep.
We're on the same team. That's something we say a lot to try to just remind each other, like, no, we chose this life. We prayed for this life. This is what we want. We want to steward it well. So having a marriage meeting, we do ours on Sunday because that's how we do the dinner menu, the knowing what's going on throughout the week.
So good.
It's perfect. And then
CEO mind. That's
we also,
yeah.
just like Talyn said, we share a calendar. So anything that comes up, we do red, yellow, green. So if something comes up and I have not approved it, but Talyn is the one presenting it, it's yellow, because that means that both of us are not on the same page. If it's something that we don't want to attend, or it's something that we need to, maybe we don't have a sitter for, it's red, but it's still in the calendar. So we're both seeing it. We're both aware that that's happening. Another thing that I've told really young moms is to make your house work for you. So if you're going to leave the house with young kids, but you know that you need to get laundry done, you know that you need to get dishes done, load the dishwasher before you go. Load your laundry before you go. So when you come back, you can already step into that next part of the process, and you're not just waiting. Because for so long, I had this viewpoint of like, no, I can only do laundry in the evening.
Right.
Or no, I can only wash my sheets at night. When it's like, why? That's not serving me or my home well. And so just getting rid of these like preconceived notions that this is how my home has to function has helped so much.
Yeah,
That's really good.
What do
really
you
good.
struggle with?
What do I struggle with? Control.
Okay.
I struggle with control because I really want to be efficient. I really want to like the heart posture is good, but the control can come in so quickly. And so if I am operating in that vein of control, number one, the kids can feel it when they're with me.
Oh my
Number
gosh,
two, Talyn can feel it the second he steps in. I'm stressed. I'm way more high strung. There's not enough patience and grace. Like there's no peace in the home.
Yeah.
And then that turns into me getting aggressive with Talyn because I feel like he's taking control when I had control. And so just understanding that like, no, he is the head covering of our household. It is not for me to control. He is the protector, the provider. And like, we are peacemakers.
That's right.
In our home.
That's right.
It's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Real
Go
fast.
ahead.
You said something earlier. You wanted to be the fun aunt.
Yes.
Did that have anything to do with control? Like, having kids seems like, oh my gosh, I can't control this, so I'm just gonna be the fun aunt.
Yes.
Was there something there?
Yes. It was a very selfish. So I'm an only child.
Okay.
It was a very selfish want of just like, I don't want the responsibility of raising someone else in this world that is so not great.
I think there's a lot of people out there that have that fear.
Yeah.
They're just so scared about raising kids because they're going to screw it up or, whatever, or the selfish ambitions of, I won't be able to do what I want anymore or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that's just a lie from the pit of hell.
Yeah.
Right.
And she was very career driven. She was very, and this is something that I've loved about her since the beginning. Once she makes up in her mind what she's doing, that is it. And I love what she said. It's like, there's no other option. When she says it's like making your face like Flint, that's Jordan.
Yeah.
And so her career was something that was very important to her. Her schooling was something that was very important to her. And so I think what we saw together was there was the control element in that. And so whenever kids got introduced, it totally flipped the value system to where now this thing that I've controlled and like sought after for so long is now lessening in comparison to our children and the value of our family.
Well, and ultimately we're not in control anyway.
Right.
I mean, we've got to be surrendered to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when we think we're in control, that's probably whenever we're
Well, to
really
have
out
peace,
of control.
to have peace, you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there watching you two, and of course I've been around Talyn way more than you, Jordan, and I'm going, okay, she is strong.
Yes.
She is
Thanks, y'all.
sharp, and so and I'm going.
CEO, like he said.
And I don't mean this ugly, but I'm married to a strong, sharp lady, and
Me
I know
too.
there's some sparks that have flown in our household at times because,
Yep.
I'm coming in and and I'm strong and I'm sharp, and then, and so but kudos to you, Jordan, because I know that there was a place in you where you had to die to some of that, and just say, okay, Lord, my number one are these two little boys right now,
Yeah.
and so
Well, if I heard you, you also said you had to learn to submit to your husband.
Yes.
In a godly manner, not in a
Yes.
weird,
Right, right.
under meaning. But
Yeah.
Right.
we're equals, but we play different roles.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just means, there's different roles.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
and learning to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Or, and gosh, anyway, we could go so many different paths.
Can we unpack that just for a second about
Sure.
the submission? Because that's such a word that a lot of people don't like. But, a man's number one need is honor. A woman's number one need is security. So how, being such a strong alpha woman, CEO type woman, very organized, controlling, how did you find that place to be able to trust your husband to submit to him in the areas that you're supposed to submit?
Whew. I think I'm still learning.
Okay.
Yeah. We both are.
Yeah.
And really, it came through wise counsel. So Jory and April Buckenoff, of being able to us sit down with our problems and talk to them and then be like, Jordan, you are wrong.
Yep.
I needed someone else from the outside that wasn't close.
It wasn't me. Yeah.
That wasn't Talyn, to be like, no, you are wrong.
Wow.
And then taking that back in my time with the Lord, and the Lord being like, they are correct.
Yeah.
You are wrong.
Yeah.
And doing that in a loving way to where
Truth and love.
truth and love. And also, I had a part to play in that as well, right? So once I was aware that I was wrong, I don't just sit with being
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
I change so that I can be a better wife.
That's wisdom.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
wisdom.
Yeah, and I think going back to our polar opposites and how we really, like in every facet, we are almost completely opposite, and we fell in love, and the growth that happens from us is this person calls me higher in my weak points.
Yeah.
Like where I have lack in planning and strategy and discipline, I'm pretty disciplined myself, but in some areas I'm not as much. And so where I lack in those, she excels.
Yeah.
Sure.
And where I am very easygoing, I'm very creative, I'm spontaneous, I can see things in different perspective, that lends itself to her. And so getting to humble myself to be like, okay, I need honor because I feel insecure in this area because she is so smart in this area. We'd get into some tiffs or some arguments, and I'd be like, God, I feel stupid. Like, this chick is so smart.
Yeah.
She is so, like you're saying, she's sharp, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being able to humble myself and say, okay, this is not a sign of weakness. This is an opportunity for me to connect with my wife. I can humbly serve her and elevate her in these strong points and let her shine in this area. And in doing so, it brought her security, and it helps foster that trust with us to where she can then trust that I'm not here to just, dominate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I'm going to just throw in there on the submission thing, and because you guys have mentioned it more than once, Jory Buckinall and his wife, is you need to be submitted to the Lord. You need to be submitted to one another. But a hallmark of a marriage that's going to thrive and not survive or fail, unfortunately, is to being submitted to wise counsel, going and because there's been many times where Pam and I we just were not on the same page, and we were not getting there either. And but we would agree. One of our mentors at one point was Pastor Garvin McCarroll, who was a very long-term elder at Trinity. Anyway, just a great guy. And more than once in our marriage, the only thing we could agree on at that moment was that we trusted Garvin, and whatever he said we would do. And we'd go submit and explain what's going on. And he'd say, 99 times out of 100, Merritt, you're wrong.
Yeah.
She's right. And at first I'd walk out, just like a kid that his toy got taken away, and but I'd get with the Lord, Jordan, and the Lord would gently correct me as he does, and I would come around. But yeah, this submission thing's a big deal, and it's not we're not suggesting any person to be beat down, cow down,
Absolutely not.
be dominated, all that. That's not submission. It's
Husbands are called to love their wives first.
that's right.
Yeah.
It didn't
As
say
Christ loved the church.
It didn't say wives, you need to love your husbands as Christ. It said men.
Yeah.
Men love your wives as Christ.
As if
we're
you're
supposed to sacrifice everything first.
right.
And when we do that, then our wives do trust us.
feel
and they
secure.
can honor us
Yeah.
and submit in the ways that God has called them to submit.
That's right.
So,
Absolutely.
It's really good.
all right.
One of the areas too I'd like to talk to you guys about that we haven't really dug into is your personal time with the Lord, what your prayer time looks like, just some of those faith habits that you guys have with the busyness of children and life and careers and all that, because I think that's so important.
And then the next question I'm going to have after that is, how do you fight fair?
Oh,
So just keep that in the back of your mind. So go to your time with the Lord first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because if you don't have the time with the Lord first, you're not going to fight fair.
That's right.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is
It'll be
right.
World War III. Yeah.
We're actually in this really beautiful space right now,
Good groove.
where we've got a really good groove about. I'll wake up at 5. I'll go to the gym, and that's a habit that I've had for years. And then after I'm done there, I come back and I get in my word. And whenever I come back, usually around 6:30, she's up and she's already sitting in bed and she's in her word. And so we both go and we'll sit and we'll read. And
Well,
then
sometimes we'll read together. Sometimes,
yeah,
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to process what the Lord has been doing in our hearts, because sometimes it's incredibly in line, and we're like, how in the world are you
Right.
reading the same scripture
Oh, man,
Oh, yeah.
as me at the same time?
That's so good.
it's really strange. Yeah, the past week and a half, we've been both almost chapter for chapter
Yeah.
what we're reading, and that's just Holy Spirit.
That's right.
But creating some type of time in your routine. I know some people have their quiet time at night. I can totally see that being a possibility for us. But usually, by that time we're exhausted and we're like, let's talk, let's chat, let's turn on the TV, and let's stop for a second. Let's let the brain stop. So for us, it works better in the morning because that kind of kickstarts our day as we go into the busyness.
Well, I also think there's something beautiful about giving the first fruits of your day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like giving the tithe, the
time,
first
yeah.
10%. It's like the very first thing, and it's what helps me get out of bed. Is being like, I'm pumped to get in my word. And if the word is hard for me to get into today, then I'm pumped to talk to the Lord.
Yeah.
And if the Lord doesn't respond, then I'm pumped for what he has in this
Right.
day, because it's a brand new day. His mercies are new.
Yeah.
And there's going to be little gifts in the day that I get to search for. And I don't want that to be taken for granted.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was good.
Okay.
And then whenever it comes to fighting fair, I love what Pastor Larry said in here. Is like submitting to Holy Spirit. Hey, teach me how to love my wife. Teach me how to listen. For me, I was very combative. Like that's just how I grew up. Younger siblings, especially in high school, in those formative years of young adulthood, very combative. I would argue, and I liked to argue, and I there's that kind of edge that you get from arguing in a really unhealthy way for me. And so for me, fighting fair looks like shutting up. Like, I'm here to listen to you. I'm not here to point out your flaws in that argument and this, that, and the other. I identify a lot with what Jimmy Witcher has said from the pulpit. I'm there to box you in, and like this is, and that's how I get my control out of that conflict. For me, it's shutting up. Yeah. Let her talk. Do not interrupt. Just let her go through the entire train of thought.
Listen to hear, not to respond.
Exactly. Yeah. That's for me.
That's good. What about you, Jordan? How do you fight fair?
For me, it looks very different. So Talyn has incredible strengths and creativity. And with creativity, there's a little bit higher emotion. And so he calls me to jump into the emotional pool with him and not get into problem solving mode and not just try and be like, okay, well, have you thought about this? It's like, no, he wants me to sit in the pool with him, to acknowledge the things that he's feeling and to help him feel understood. So for those that maybe are struggling with fighting fair, I would say, are you fighting to understand, or are you fighting to win? Yeah. Because if you're fighting to win, there's going to be no winners.
That's good.
And
you guys are the opposite of me and Pam.
Yes.
I completely relate to you. And at times I'm problem solving, just spinning and I'm just like, shut up and just sit there.
Yes. Yes.
How did that make you feel? I'm so sorry, and inside I'm just going,
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah.
Well, and I was the peace maker.
Peacemaker, yeah.
I was
Make everybody
the peace,
happy.
I was
Laugh.
the peacemaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
And was horrible in our marriage I didn't realize it. I thought I was doing good things by, I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
You're the peacekeeper.
I'm gonna avoid.
Peacekeeper,
Yeah,
yeah,
peacekeeper. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was a peacekeeper. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're okay.
I was a peacekeeper.
Yeah.
I always mess it up. I was a peacekeeper. I was just trying to keep the peace no matter
Right.
what. And I would never have. I try to avoid confrontation. All those things. And so, if my wife said things because she was really good with her words, right? She could hurt me really bad. I would never say. It never dawned on me to just say, gosh, stop talking to me like that. It hurts me. I would never say that.
Yeah.
I would just try to do whatever it took to make
Sure.
her happy again, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you guys talked about that. I think you mentioned that a second ago, or earlier in the podcast about being a peacekeeper and a versus
They did, yeah.
peacemaker.
Yeah.
And so that's important for people to know.
Yeah.
So you guys have figured that out.
Yes.
We're figuring, we identified the problem, and so now we're in the middle of like finding that healthy solution to that problem, where we've identified this is something that we were operating in unhealth in earlier in our marriage, and now we're like, okay, that can't fly anymore.
Yeah. Well, I want to commend you guys because you both said you spend time in the Word daily. Scripture says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed to the renewal of your mind, the good, and acceptable, perfect will of Christ Jesus." And what I will encourage you with is to continue that, because your boys won't always be little.
Yeah.
And as you go through different stages of life, it looks different. It feels different. You'll get stretched in new ways. Glorious, awesome, fun, but different, right? And so, I just think that and the other thing that I want to commend you guys on is I just sense a real spirit of humility with both of you guys to say, we're both trying.
Yes.
We're both working on ourselves. We're both recognizing at times when, Talyn, you might be off, or Jordan, you might, or whatever the case may be, and you're working on that. You've got at least a mentor couple in your life. I would predict more than one.
Oh, yeah.
The Buckanals are one for sure. You mentioned them multiple times. And the reason I'm bringing this up for our audience is these are hallmarks of marriages that are not just going to make it, but that are going to continue to be healthy and thriving, which is what you want. There's one thing you didn't touch on. I asked you earlier that I want to circle back because I want our audience to hear. Tell me about your prayer life. What does that look like, please?
You go. I saw in your face you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, she lit
It
up.
just makes me excited. I love that, because what is prayer? Prayer is communication with God.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like my prayer life has a start and a stop. I mean, like, I love getting into the Word. I also love praying, but like sometimes prayer for me looks like my kids are screaming in the car and all of their needs are met and I am overwhelmed and I am just praying out loud for the Lord to give me the strength to continue on in that moment. Yeah. Sometimes prayer looks like an hour on my face talking to the Lord about the deep cries of my heart. And so it's just this continual conversation that I get to have with the Lord that I love so much because like we have Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And so we are equipped through Holy Spirit because we have our guide and our comforter.
Yeah.
And so when we need comfort, we can go to him. When we need guidance, we can go to him.
That's right.
And that's like built in. God is also our wonderful counselor. So like he wants to hear the cries of our heart. And so I just think it's beautiful. I just love it a lot. And I know that's probably not super helpful.
And then talk, but I also want to hear about your prayer life together and then also with your children.
Yeah. I have a great caveat in that. So for me, it's daily submission, but where I get the most meat and substance between me and the Father in my own prayer life is through journaling.
Oh, good.
Like Jordan had said, I'm very emotional, and so whenever I can get the emotions onto a black and white sheet of paper and just see it for what it is, I can write through and I can be like, and I'll type it out because I can't write as fast as my brain's going. So it's a lot easier for me to type and go through my thoughts. And even as I'm typing, as I'm getting a thought out onto the screen, I'll hear the Lord say, "That's not correct. Here's my truth." And I'll write that out.
That's
and
good.
it's an
That's
open
really
dialogue.
Good. It's a huge deal for our listeners right here.
Yeah.
Journaling is a
That's
huge
really
deal.
good.
Yeah. That's been.
So you said your prayer life, like you start in the mornings, you do it. So is that when you're doing your journaling, or when does the journaling come in?
The journaling is a little more sporadic. I try to, my prayer life is, I'll start the day, Father, here's what's going on today. This is submitted to you. Pray over my children, pray over my wife, pray over what's going on today. Let today be today and tomorrow be tomorrow. And I'm submitting the day to him and then getting in his word. Whenever I go through and I do my journaling, it's not every day that I'm doing that. It probably should be, in all honesty.
Okay.
It's a little more time consuming.
Sure.
I'll be out journaling for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
So maybe
if
as
I really
something's
get into it.
happening, then you're like, okay, I need to go journal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
See, I'm realizing that you and Wade are both artists. And I don't know why I didn't connect that, but y'all are both, you're super artistic. You just see the world in an artistic way. And so do you. And you're the CEO minded. You know, I could see you doing like strategy sessions and breaking things down and having a full business plan and telling like, okay, let's go get them.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's why you compliment each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So go ahead, Talyn. I'm sorry.
And so whenever it comes to praying with our children, we pray with our oldest 4-year-old every night. You know, we'll pray, and then what he started doing is, you know, we pray before every meal, and he started piping up, "Hey, I want to pray."
Oh yeah.
And so he'll lead the prayer.
That's awesome.
And it is the cutest thing because you're like, I know the Father hears that prayer. I know that the Lord is smiling ear to ear as he hears that little boy pray. He submitted a prayer last night, and he's just like, God, thank you for mommy. Thank you for the meal that she made to us. And I ask that you bless my mom. 4 years old.
I love
and
that.
Dude, I would
mean,
have like choked up.
oh
here.
my gosh.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so he's growing in his prayer language, and that's just because I feel like we're trying really hard to exemplify, like, we talk to God. You can talk to God on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then together every night, we try to pray every night.
But he sees that also, right?
Yeah.
So like when he comes in at 5 a.m., he wakes up a little early. He sees us praying. He sees us in our Bible.
Yeah.
Like when we're praying on the way home, or on the way to preschool every day, like you may not think he's listening, but he's listening.
Of course they are.
And so like
Yeah.
Emerson recently had a lot of complications with his ears. And so every night we were like, buddy, we're praying for miraculous healing over your ears. We believe that God can heal you.
Yeah.
And so we walked with him through that process. And when the Lord didn't heal his ears in the miraculous healing that we were asking for, we talked with him through that too and be like, no, but
So good.
the Lord provided the good doctor that did the surgery, and now your ears are healed.
Amen. That's right.
Yeah.
And so just that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So good.
Another thing that we're really, really passionate about right now is legacy. And I feel like this is a good caveat into that.
Sure.
something has to be exemplified before it can be multiplied. And so we try to exemplify, okay, this is how, if we start to feel tension rising because we're in a disagreement, we say to the boys, it's okay. Mommy and daddy are okay. We're going to talk about this and everything's all right. Because they'll see us, and the 4-year-old, he'll just sit there with his eyes, this big, like,
sure,
what is happening right now? No, it's okay. We're gonna show honor and respect first, and reassure we are still mommy and daddy, and we've got this together. Something that Jordan and I have both been doing is taking like this passion for family and for the stewardship of your legacy to social media. And Jordan's been doing a great job. I've got my own little campaign going. Every weekend she has a weekend to-do list, and she's got moms all over the place.
Love it.
We do get stuff done day. So Friday, everyone just posts what they're going to do that day, and it's kind of like camaraderie that we're all raising babies and getting other things done.
Yeah. And I've started my mustache movement.
I like it. I've been seeing that. Yeah, baby.
It's just to like touch on this because it's so it lends itself to what we're saying. The whole movement was, we want to have, I'll go back 6 months ago. 6 months ago, we decided, hey, we're going to lock in together. We're going to focus on our finances. We started having financial meetings. We started saying, like, this is where we want to go. We're going to cast vision. We're going to do all this stuff together. We're going to write down our values.
It was post-vision retreat.
It was post-vision retreat, that we had. And ironically enough, but not ironic, that's whenever we started to come under serious attack.
Yeah.
And right at that first 6-month mark, Jordan was like, you should grow a mustache. And the first thought that went through my head was like, Tom Selleck has a mustache, and that's a real man. Like, are you sure? It's like, it was just
you went old school with Tom Selleck.
Come on, brother. Yeah.
Best mustache ever.
That's right. Yeah. And so I had this thought of like, no, like I want to step into that. If we're locking in and we're being serious, I'm going to step into that. And so that's whenever I shaved. And then God started performing like this really deep work in me of like, no, there's a lifestyle change that I'm calling you to. This isn't just locking in for the sake of social media. This is a lifestyle change. Stop doing this. Yeah. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. And started growing me. And one of the things, and this has been like the easiest entry level principle that I've been saying online is stop drinking tap water. And it's so funny because it's like it red pills some of these young guys who are like, why? I'm like, well, there's just massive amounts of chemicals in your tap water. If you want to be, living up to your fullest testosterone and potential and everything, let's stop doing that. And then it starts the conversation of like, well, what else? Like, is there other stuff? Yeah, let's get in your word. Yeah, let's lead your family with honesty and integrity. Yeah. Let's be trustworthy husbands. Mm-hmm. Let's handle our finances well. And so, the motto is like grow a mustache and stop drinking tap water. But it starts to go way deeper than that.
There you go. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I've got one more thing I wanted to hear you guys talk to the audience about, and Wade may have something else, but and it perfectly goes into exemplify, and that is tithing, giving, financial stewardship. You've touched on it several times, but let's go into, because as a young family, it's hard no matter what. But if you're young, you've got young children, finances can be stretched, and just that simple act of obedience of tithing and giving. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yes, we have been tithing for a very long time. We decided before we were married that would be something that we do. And so with that, we make it the easiest route possible to do. So it's on auto draft because we had learned early on that the more barriers there were to us doing it, if we had to put in a routing, if we had to manually do it every time,
fall behind.
Yeah.
We would fall behind or we would forget and things like that. And it's incredibly important to us. And so that's what we started doing really early on. And I truly believe that because we were doing that cheerfully and not out of obligation, not out of not being begrudging about it either, and just being like, well, this is the money that the church, I have to give to the church. No, the church realistically does not need our money.
Yeah.
What it is a call for us to change our heart posture and to cheerfully give.
That's right.
To show the Lord, like, hey, this is yours anyways.
Yeah.
100% of it is His.
Yeah.
But we want to be good stewards of everything that you have given us. And to do that, we have to give back the tool that you have given us.
Yep.
And it speaks to legacy too,
Right.
because I have to ask you. You want that to be true for your children too. You want them to
Absolutely.
understand the principle of tithing and
Yeah.
giving. And the thing and Helen, I want to hear your comments, but I observe people. I'm an observer of people. So don't think I'm weird like I'm stalking, but I've watched people. You both cheerfully serve at the church, your time. You both give of your talents. You do. And then your resource, the money, the check. So, and I think it's a hallmark because when, like you said, your first fruits, you're giving your first, you're giving your best. And then in Jesus' name, we pass that to our children.
Right.
And then they have that in their life that becomes a part of their habitual thing that they do that exemplifies their life, right? And it's and we just heard from Pastor Larry and Becky, just this generational thing. He talked about, now his children and then now his grandchildren. And so, talk to us a little bit about
the exemplification. Is
Yep,
that-
that's a big word, but you
it
said
is
it.
a word. That's
Yeah.
a big word for
Good
him.
job.
We're seeing that now with our 4-year-old, watching his mind kind of process. Why are y'all doing that? What's happening? Money is a new topic for him.
Sure.
He didn't realize that you have to save up and buy the things that you want.
Yeah.
Because, hey, Granny can just give me whatever I ask for,
Yep.
whether it's Hot Wheels or whatever, it just appears,
Yep.
know. And so whenever we went out a few days ago, hey, Dad, can we get that? No, buddy, we don't have the money. We don't have money to get that for you. I'm sorry. Well, do we have to save up? Yeah. But I've got $1 at home. Can I? And
Yeah.
so, you start to see him kind of piecing together this whole thing. And so, with us, we try our best to lay out, like, this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. And this is why we do it. And so we haven't had the explicit conversation of tithing with our 4-year-old just yet. I
Well,
don't think it's
pretty
come
young.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
young.
Yeah. But I mean, the principle of this is a responsibility for us to steward this well.
Yeah.
I know he sees that.
Yeah.
I remember I was at, our children were younger, and this was before the whole electronic transfer. I mean, it wasn't a thing, right? You couldn't do it. And Sunday morning and, normal Sunday, we're getting ready for church and all. And I'm writing a check, and I didn't know, but my daughter was looking over my shoulder. And she said, "Who are you writing that check to?" And I said, "To the church." And she said, "That's a lot of money. Why would you do that?" And I said, "Honey, you didn't know me before I was saved. But because of Jesus and through Trinity Fellowship Church, my life has changed.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing for Mommy. That's a blessing for you. And it's my honor to do this, right?" And so you get those sweet little moments. And then I never will forget that same daughter. She was in college. We were struggling. We were trying to help her. Anyways, just there wasn't much money, right? And she was working part-time. And we got this letter in the mail from Trinity Fellowship addressed to her. And I didn't even think, what in the world is this? I open it up. It's her tithe record. I just can't tell you. I thought, our daughter who's struggling in college, who's away, not even living here, is still tithing to her home church. We never asked her to do that.
Yeah.
We never said, this is what you're supposed to do. She just saw it modeled, and then that legacy passed on. And it's just, those are those moments where you go, okay, there were some good things that were passed down. There's some legacy here, because I don't know how you guys feel, but I remember when I was your age, raising children, it's a lot of joy. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
And you're just, some of the fruits are like just a little hug around the neck, or hear that little boy say, "Mommy, I love you," or Lord, thank you for my mommy that cooked this wonderful meal. I mean, those are those nuggets, and it makes up for the screaming kids in the car or the sleepless night with a kid that's sick or whatever's going on, because it ain't no joke, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
That for me is Ansel. He just learned how to say thank you. 2 years old. He'll ask for a pouch. Daddy, pouch. Hand him a little applesauce pouch. He'll just turn and go, Dato. And you're like,
Awesome.
Okay,
yeah, buddy.
well, that's all I need.
That is all I need.
I know we're wrapping up, but man, guys, I know you guys are just so humble in everything you said. You're like, man, we don't have it figured out, but this is what we're doing. I'm just going to say to any young couples out there watching, I would definitely take in what they're saying and try to implement some of these things. It takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes a village to keep a marriage strong. And you guys have done a lot of those things that you're implementing. You're creating good habits. You're calling audibles. You're seeing areas in your lives that you need to change. You're submitting your hearts to Christ on a regular basis. Is it perfect? No. And we could spend another 5 hours talking about all the things that you've done wrong, right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is God is a good God, and whenever we do surrender our hearts to Him and we come together as one, He blesses that, and He's blessed you guys. And I've seen it over and over again, Talyn, over the past several years that we've been doing these podcasts together. Just little testimonies that you'll come in here and talk about, open doors that are opening and the wrong doors that needed to be closed at times, and talking about how you guys are warring together and praying and going through these things. And it's been really beautiful to watch and inspiring. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Wade.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Well, hey, 2717, if you're local and you're a young family, I would draw close to these guys. They're full of wisdom, and so we're thankful for you guys. But like it, share it, come back. We got 2 more episodes in February on marriage.
That's right.
So we got some more good stuff coming. Okay, we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye, y'all.